Hello, everyone. My name is Fawn Walker Montgomery. I'm the CEO and co founder for Take Action Advocacy Group. Thank you for joining us on our monthly Voices of Liberation podcast. So, I'll just do an overview of TAG for anyone that's new here today. So, TAG stands for Take Action Advocacy Group, formerly known as Take Action Mon Valley. We have been around 12 and a half years now, doing some really good work with social justice and Black liberation across the world. Our primary focus area has been the Mon Valley, which is the greater Pittsburgh area. So it's about 20 minutes outside of the city of Pittsburgh. And the way we take action, we have a chapter program that has our flagship program, has been with us from the beginning. It's actually how we started. Our chapter members met in 2014. That's how long we've been around, and they decided to get involved in their community. When we first started, we were centered around preventative work around street violence. So then that kind of evolved into social justice and Black liberation work. And then we became a nonprofit. And the way we take action, we have our chapters, and then we also have our complaint program. We call that social work abolition, and people will call in and get help with just navigating the criminal justice system. So we help people give advice, connect them with attorneys, connect them with mental health resources because there's a lot of trauma that comes along when you're fighting the system along the way. We have our storytelling, our podcast. We also have blogs on our website about our very active advocacy campaigns. I'll talk about one at the end of the podcast, but we have one against the school police, McKeesport School District, as well as against the McKeesport Police Department. So I'll talk a little bit about those at the end when we talk about current events and we give our updates on our advocacy campaigns. I just wanted to give you a little bit of background of Take Action Advocacy Group, some of the work that we do. We do the complaint program we call Social Work Abolition, our chapter program, our storytelling, and then all of our social justice initiatives we support, which is all of them. But we do have a focus, and our focus is environmental and climate justice, food, the food apartheid that exists here in the Mon Valley, police violence, as well as transportation justice as well, and housing justice. So those are some of the primary focuses of TAG. In today's podcast, we are going to be talking to justice impacted families, and we're also going to be talking about the Paid Leave Act that is taking place right now here in Allegheny County. So we're going to start with our justice impacted families. That is Courtney Tompkins of Q's Care and Valerie Handy Carey, the Brittany Patrice Glover Walk This Way Foundation. So I'm going to welcome them on now. Hello, thank you all so much for joining us today. How are you all?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Of
Thank you for
course,
having us.
of course, of course. We've worked with, TAG has worked with these families a lot in the past. And we started a podcast because most of our families didn't get the attention they deserved because they don't have videos. And a lot of the attention, as you all know, goes to people dealing with like police violence.
Mm-hmm.
So Courtney was actually our first guest on the podcast
Mm-hmm.
because we wanted to make sure that we got the word out about what happened to her baby in the Atlanta area. And then through her work, that's where she met Miss Val, and that's how they connected. So we just have 4 questions for you. I just want to thank you all first for continuously having the courage to share your story, and continuously agreeing, to come on the podcast and just share your story. So the first question I have, and anyone can go first, is just what happened to your loved one?
Okay, I'll go first. Um, as you mentioned, the foundation is named after our daughter, Brittany Patrice Glover, and Brittany was killed by a hit and run driver in Atlanta, Georgia, in Fulton County, and she was leaving a venue um, and walking across the street. And where Brittany was killed is a busy street, and to this day, we don't know who killed her. There was no really investigation, in my opinion. There's a lot of unanswered questions. It'll be 4 years, September 19th of this year, and I still can't tell you any details about what really happened and how she was killed,
Mhm.
other than it was a driver. What I do know, when I got there was no tread marks, there was no crime scene tape. Everything was completely cleaned up. And we do have a reward that's still valid to this day, looking for additional answers and for an arrest, because we're looking for accountability. Although we said from the beginning that we were willing to forgive the person because we know not everybody wakes up saying that they're going to kill. There are a few exceptions, but we
Mhm.
try to get the benefit of the doubt. And even with that, no one has come forth. And so it's important that we keep reminding people about sharing information, because somebody knows something, somebody saw something. And for the community to be silent speaks volumes. And there was just, in my opinion, and factually, there was just so many misappropriation and mishandling in Brittany's case.
Mhm.
So,
Thank
that's
you.
what
Thank you,
happened to our daughter.
Pastor. Thank you.
And I will add that Brittany was my only daughter. And so for me, um, it's even more disheartening, because all the girl things that you think a mother and daughter share, I don't
Mhm.
get the opportunity to partake in those things.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Courtney.
Thank you for sharing that, Valerie, because I know sometimes, us even talking about it can be triggering and it can be emotional.
Mhm.
So thank you for giving us this space to
Yes.
believe in our fight, because this is a fight. Unfortunately, we have to fight even harder because a lot of people don't think this is a crime. And what happened to our daughters, it was very preventable if awareness was shared. On September 19th, 2022, when Brittany was killed in Atlanta. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So I wasn't able to bring awareness to my daughter about being careful in Atlanta, a place that they told our children to come to because they will have a great life, right? They can work for Emory, work for Spirit, and they can be safe. And this is a walkable community, but those were all lies. So, it's all over profit. They build these buildings and get us to come move there, and they're not safe. And that's what happened to my daughter November 17th, 2022. She went to do her regular walk to her Emory shuttle, and when I say this, I say Emory because Emory is a big name,
Organization.
right?
Mhm.
It's a big name. So when we say Emory, that should have everybody's eyes open. Well, wait a minute, they're not protecting their employees or just their patients, no matter who it is. She was on her way
Mhm.
to go to Emory, and unfortunately, the day Cornisha was killed, I was supposed to trust the police, right? And the police was supposed to tell me the truth, but they did not do that. They did not do that. They took away the trust, the honesty um, of me
Mhm.
to in those vulnerable moments of when you really need to get the evidence and the investigation going. You really have to can't do that because you're trying to plan a funeral and you're trying to see what all happened. So you're hoping these people are really going to be honest with you. And when you found out they weren't, it's just another layer of the ripple effect of heaviness on impacted families to have to deal with. My daughter Quenisha was laying there with a pulse. So this is
Mhm.
bigger than the police. This is the EMTs in the hospitals. They didn't do their job either. They let my child die. They let her die with a pulse. And so what me and Val advocate for is to tell people this is happening.
Mhm.
This is happening. And it's not just happening out of state, it's
Mhm.
happening in your own community. The access of good health care, the access of good first responders coming to you and trying to save your life, the access of good police departments, the access of living in a safe community is just gone for profit.
Mhm.
And if we don't come together as the people, we're going to keep seeing more lives happen because this is violent. This is really a violent way to die. You know, it really is. Just think, my child was dismembered. Brittany was damaged, you know, very hard. She's not here. So we know that's trauma on their bodies, and there's no resources for pedestrians or even the impacted family. So that's the problem, you know. So I'm sorry if I went out of the question a little bit more. It's just very very hard when you're trying to give this awareness to your community and they ignore it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then it happens to them. And even though they know you're out here in the community, they still don't align. So we
Yeah.
can come together and make a difference, right? To show
Mm-hmm.
that it's not just me. Now this happened to you. We can stop it together. We can create a link, you know, a gatherness, a unity to try to prevent this to happen to somebody else's
Mm-hmm.
family. And when we don't have that, we'll keep seeing the rotation of this happening to many families, especially in the Black and brown communities, because in our communities, we feel we're safe because we think this is normal. But our streets are not normal and our streets are not safe. Our sidewalks, our infrastructure is just not safe.
Not at all. And
Yeah.
I love what you pointed out about the justice impacted families because I feel like there's a lack of access and resources for all of you. But when you look down to outside of like police violence, it gets even greater because I feel like that's the only thing people really focus on is this high number of police violence or when it's like a race-based killing. But like this pedestrian violence is killing people at the same, the same rate. When we went down to Atlanta with you
And if
all,
I can interject,
please do. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, if I can interject, um,
Mhm.
at now, car violence and traffic fatalities are outpacing gun violence in some communities. That's how often it is happening. And the
Yes.
community is still silent, they're still ignoring. And that's the one thing, if nothing else, to take away from this
Mm-hmm.
interview, that number one, a car is a weapon, and
Okay.
that it does more damage to the body than a gun can, because sometimes you can outrun a gun. You got to stand and
Mm-hmm.
shoot multiple times. A car can damage you everything in one hit, and you're looking at over 2,000, at a minimum 2,000
Mm-hmm.
pounds crushing a body, and there's no way any human can defend themselves against over 2,000 pounds.
Exactly. Exactly. And I'm happy we're doing this so people can become more aware of this
Mhm.
pedestrian car violence because it is an issue. It is an issue affecting the Black community. I mean, we're talking about
Yes.
Atlanta. And this is what they say, oh, this is the Black Mecca, and this is, the place we should go. So people are sending their kids there, and it's not safe for them. The infrastructure isn't set up. Like when we went down there, we seen they're throwing all this money into building, but they're not building safe roads. Now there's some
Yeah.
safe roads in the white parts of Atlanta, but you look at the Black parts of Atlanta, they're neglecting that and people are
Yes.
dying left and right. We were like canvassing, talking to people like, oh yeah, we lost someone that way. Like, that's not normal. Like that's not a normal way to lose people. Y'all just like we speak up and protest for, police violence, we gotta do the same
Yes.
thing for this kind of violence. So I'm
Mhm.
happy we're doing this so people can watch and they can
Mhm.
understand that perspective that you are coming from because you all are a justice impact family as well.
Yes. And more so, really, because of the silence from the community. It
Yeah.
is car violence is actually a health crisis in the Black and brown communities.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's not being acknowledged. It's not being addressed at all. And
Yeah.
for states, cities to have crime victim funds and advocacy, um, traffic victims are not included in that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Mm-hmm.
another tragedy or travesty that impacts the impacted family. We talk about that ripple effect, but we don't talk about it enough. First you lose your child, and if I can just say this, and I think it's staying within in the confines of our questions,
Mm-hmm.
the ripple effect to me, you have a family that's impacted, then a person that parent is working, their job only gives them 3 days to, one, absorb that they just lost their child, plan a funeral and everything else within 3 days. And then they might have to fight for FMLA. If they get FMLA, they have to use all their vacation time and their sick time. This is on the back end that nobody talks about, that ripple
Mm.
effect of one selfish act of taking someone's child. Not only do I have to worry about losing my job, I'm only given 3 days of bereavement leave. And then I'm expected to come back and to perform at the same capacity pre um, um, fatality. I'm
Yeah.
still expected to be at the top of my game, grieving for a
Mm.
lost child. And then if I have other children, the impact to them, because I'm grieving, I don't give them the time and attention that they deserve. So that creates a bigger dynamic within my family, this ripple effect from this one selfish act of destroying my family, because we're still stuck. I'm still stuck at September
Mhm.
19th, 2022. I haven't had
Mhm.
the opportunity to say, absorb. The world didn't stop. I needed the world to stop to say, what just happened? I just lost my child. And how do I manage? How do I
Mhm.
go on without my child? And not having the resources available, and people box you in because they give you a time frame as to when you should grieve or how you should grieve, and they expect you to be over it because they are,
Mm.
and you still are left to deal with the pieces, and then to have the insult to injury, not get support from the police and all the other people, the agencies that you need assistance from, to still try to piece this together so that you can have some type of rationale or focus for accountability of the perpetrator if you know who they are. I don't know who I'm fighting.
Mhm.
I'm looking at the killer every time I go to Atlanta.
Mm.
That's the painful part for me. I just haven't identified which one it is.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you so much for that.
And I want to say real
Mhm.
quick that I feel will answer all these questions is, um, like Val said, she doesn't know who killed her, um, killed Brittany. But I want to say is, even when you do know who killed him, they still don't do justice, right?
Mhm.
I know who killed
Mhm.
my child. He said he
Mhm.
seen my child and still hit her, and they let
Yeah.
him sit in the evidence. He could have
Mhm.
got rid of the dash cam. He could have got rid of so much evidence, but they
Mhm.
allowed him to
Mhm.
sit. It's the ignorance of the people
Yeah.
that we have in these positions now. I want to say I just came from a funeral of Michael Wade. He was killed. 15-year-old was killed, hit and
Mhm.
killed on the night road here in Pittsburgh. So yes, our children died in Atlanta, but it's still happening here in
Mhm.
Pennsylvania and
Across the
across
United
this.
States.
He was a
Mhm.
15-year-old young boy, and he crossed the street, and he was with two other young
Mhm.
kids. He just had got his paycheck, crossed the street. I don't want to say too much of the story because that's his parents' story to tell. But what I would tell you, when I went to the funeral, all I seen, the outrage I thought I seen on social media, none of that outrage was at the funeral. Right? No one was
Mhm.
there. The support wasn't there that you see on social media. When I got there, I'm just like, what is going on? There's like no one here. And here I found out is the person who hit Michael left the scene, went to a parking lot and called the police and said, I think I hit somebody and I'm fearing my life. He's fearing his life. How are you fearing your life when you're in a vehicle that's protected by armor? You have
Mhm.
a seatbelt, you have a brake, you have an airbag, you have everything to protect you. But
Mhm.
to me, that told me you seen that was a black kid. You seen him, because why are you in fear? Why
Mhm.
you're protected? But it was easier to say I was in fear. So what that left was the
Mhm.
police questioning the parents, the mother. What was Michael doing? Instead of questioning this person that hit her child, took all the skin off of his face and broke his neck.
Mhm.
Jesus.
Okay. You know what
Mhm.
Jesus.
I'm saying? That's the balance that her 15-year-old son went through. And what the pastor said to this mother was, good things, bad things happen to good people. Wait a minute. This is the mindset of a lot of people
Mhm.
that's around us. That's
Mhm.
not an excuse. That's not a good enough excuse to say bad things happen to good people. The man hit him, took his half of his face off, and broke his neck because he wasn't paying attention what was in front of him. But he was able, because of the color of his skin, to say
Mhm.
he was in fear. And this is what's happening.
Wow.
So nobody reported on the news what the driver looks like. No one put it on the news. What was his driver's license? None of that information was released about the driver. So what is happening is now not drivers out there to be able to kill one of our loved ones.
Yes, and that's what I say. The longer the person stays on the street, they will kill again because now
Yeah.
they're comfortable, and we're creating serial killers. That's
Here we go.
exactly what we're doing.
Absolutely.
On American
Nationwide, yes,
nationwide, we
Yes.
are allowing people to
yes,
hit people with their car and just go home, and
Yeah.
that's just it. And
Right.
that's murder, Fawn and Val. That's murder.
That's murder.
That's murder. You know,
And if people know they could get away with it, they're gonna keep doing it.
yes, it's
yes,
murder. If I leave my grandchildren or my child in the car, I
Mhm.
forget, I go into work and I forget, oh my God, I shouldn't have. They have more advocacy and support for that than they have than somebody and kill somebody.
Yep. Yep. They
or
right in jail.
or an animal. Remember, the
Mhm.
lady is up against 20 years for
Mhm.
killing a duck
Mhm.
with her car, hitting ducks with her car. They're
Wow.
they can give her 20 years in prison. And here,
Yeah,
Quenisha can't get 1 day for the person who killed her.
one day.
One
One
day.
day. Then they know who killed her. And it's
Right.
evidence that
Yes.
or he not me, I didn't make this up. This is on a police body cam. That it
Yep.
was evidence that he said, I seen her. It was
Yes.
evidence that they felt my child. They said they whispered she had a pulse. So that meant she had a chance. My
Yes.
child
Mhm.
had a chance to live, and none of them wanted to save my child's life. That is murder. You
Yes.
didn't only allow to let the target hit her and leave the scene and come back and sit
Mhm.
on the sideline. Now you put in a role of taking
Yep.
ahead and killing my child instead of just life flighting her and doing what the doctor said. The doctor said repeatedly, bring her.
Yeah.
Because they said, we're Grady Hospital. We want to save her life. We're
Right.
going to save her life. They never gave my child a chance. They
Mm-mm-mm.
never gave my child a chance. Not once. They didn't give her a chance. Just imagine laying on that cold ground thinking and hearing these people giving up on your life. And cars riding through the crime scene. She's scared that she might get hit again. Just think of that, laying on the ground, and not one person that is supposed to save your life is trying to save your life.
Mhm.
That is disgraceful. That
Yep.
is devaluing my child.
Yes.
They devalued her life.
Mhm. And that's the Cab County. So to make sure we call them out, that's the Cab County
Mm-hmm.
in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And
And
they're
where
still
which county?
And
devaluing
Brittany was in Fulton County.
Fulton County.
And they're
Fulton,
right beside
actually,
it.
Fulton is worse,
Right.
in my opinion. Fulton County is
Mhm.
worse. Yes.
So that's the Cab County and Fulton County. Shame
Yes.
on y'all.
Yes. And the
Shame on
police
y'all.
was out there when Brittany, they even said that the police called
Mhm.
in to report that Brittany was hit. But that's not in her police report. That an Atlanta police officer called in. Atlanta police officers was working that venue that night. Brittany was there, and they
Mhm.
were assisting people across the street previously. But when Brittany went across the street, nobody
Yeah.
was there. But my thing is, Brittany was 5'9", a full adult woman. The person that was driving the car, what were you doing as to why you didn't see her? One, I know you were speeding because there was no tread marks and you didn't try to stop. There was no evidence that the car tried to stop whatsoever. And so either you were texting while you were speeding, it was intentional, you saw her and you hit her anyway, or you were driving under the influence of something. I won't just say alcohol, under the influence of something, a
Yeah.
combination of all three. But until that person is held accountable, you know, I'm left with the what ifs and the assumptions.
Yeah. And before I ask the last question about how people can help, I want you all to tell us, how do you want people to remember your loved ones when these situations happen? The media gets involved and people get involved and they kind of reframe y'all's narrative. So I want y'all to have opportunity to take back your narrative and tell us something, tell us something about your loved one and how you want people to remember them.
Um, I want Brittany to be remembered as a beautiful young lady who was full of life.
Mhm.
She was an entrepreneur. She had her own vegan business, a legit business. She had license in the state of Ohio, but she traveled. She did pop ups even in Atlanta before she actually relocated to Atlanta. She was a flight attendant. She loved to travel. That's one reason why she wanted to become a flight attendant so she could actually see the world. I want her to be remembered as a philanthropist because she gave back. She cared about what they call the unhoused. When she would do her pop ups and feeding, if she always sold out, but if she had anything, I would go with her to downtown Columbus and feed the homeless people that were under the bridge. Anybody that we would see, she would offer a meal to them. She cared about HBCU. She was very pro Black. She was very proud of her. So she came into her own. She didn't mince words. She was very giving and very loving. But if you did something and she felt offensive, she was going to let you know right then and there. She didn't mince her words at all. She loved kids. She
Mhm.
was, she loved family. Family was everything to her. And the sad part is that she was actually planning a trip to Jamaica with her cousins. They were going to do a cousins trip for her birthday, which is in March 15th, but unfortunately her life was taken in September. And so I just want people to remember that, what she stood for, community, family, and to um, yeah, just continue to advocate for pedestrians because she had a right to walk across that street. She had a right to be here today. Um, but yeah, just as she loved family, every family meant everything to her.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you.
So what for me is everything that Val said, but for me, the testimony will be where we're at right now of Honisha, right?
Hmm.
Because I'm walking, I took over her shoes.
Yeah.
She didn't take over my shoes. I took over her shoes. I'm stepping in her footsteps.
Hmm.
I grow through my baby's legacy, right? And this is what she's doing. She's connecting us. She's
Mm-hmm.
connecting in the community to be able to save another impacted family, not to go through the hurt we went through, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that means changing me. She's changed
Hmm.
me as the person that I am today. That's from my daughter's legacy.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be prouder. I want her to be prouder of me today than she was back then.
Mm-hmm.
Um, she was that child that was proud of her mom, but I want to keep doing things in the goodness of my child's name because I'm so proud of her.
Mm-hmm.
So what I ask people today is Q Cares is not a game. Walk
Hmm.
This Way is not a game. We're
Mm-hmm.
here to co-align with each other, to align with each other to make a difference, to
Mm-hmm.
change these laws. Even if we can't change these laws, we can add on to the laws that's already assist, is already there, it's already
Mm-hmm.
made, and just say to add a vehicle when a human does this by vehicle. But
Mm-hmm.
we need more than one and two, right? We need other
Mm-hmm.
families to come together. We need
Mm-hmm.
more education in our schools. We
Mm-hmm.
need structures within our families.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way we're going to save us.
Right.
Hmm.
The only way we save us is to come united and share our resources and our love and our kindness and our
Mm-hmm.
empathy with each other. That's the
Mm-hmm.
only way we're going to be able to
Mm-hmm.
survive if we learn to get along.
Mm-hmm.
To
Hmm.
disagree or not agree, but we have to learn to understand so we can start start putting protection, not just over our children, over the whole community's children. That's
Mhm.
the only way we're going to be able to survive. We can't just say, oh, I'm just caring about my kids. We can't do that anymore. We have to wrap our arms around our loved ones, because if we done that, my child wouldn't have went to Atlanta. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Some of our kids are running to other
Yeah.
states.
Mhm.
Not all of
Yeah.
them. Not all of them. Not
Mhm.
all kids. And I'm not saying if they did, there's nothing wrong with that. But we have to look at, really, sometimes some of these kids are running away from chaos to
Mhm.
be able to
It's
structure
true.
their own life together. You
Mhm.
know, so that's why I end up
It's
sometimes
true.
saying I wish my child didn't move to Atlanta, but I'm happy she did, because she bloomed into the woman she was.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
She always was a woman, but she fully blooms into her blackness, into her proudness
True.
of being
Mhm.
Quenisha Ball. You
Right.
understand what I'm saying? She was telling
Mhm.
people, you can't go this way because it's dangerous for you. So you think she gonna walk across the street and get killed? She was bringing awareness to people at her job in Emory. You know, she was advocating back then. She was saving lives. So, you know, I'm just asking
Mhm.
everybody, you know, if you do see someone who has gotten injured or killed, send the family our way.
Mhm.
We're here to help each other. We can
Mhm.
unite, you know, give some support, because we need the support. We
Yeah,
need support.
definitely.
It's a lot on me and Val. You know, I get calls from people and I'm just like, okay, how can I get my mindset together to deal with
Right.
Mhm.
this? Because I don't want to be crying, you know what I mean? How can I
Right.
walk to this funeral and stand strong for this family and know to know that we are here for you? But when
Mhm.
you do that, you still gotta go home to reality. Like, ain't nobody saying and we all right.
Right. Right.
You
Right.
know, so there's no support for us.
Yeah,
There's
and support is on so many different
no
levels
level.
too. For me, yeah, when we say that we have a walk or we want to rally, we
Mhm.
want the community show up. But after that rally's over, we still got to put feet on
Yeah.
those words. We have to show up. It's me and Courtney at City Council in Atlanta. You know, we need that army. The Lord can send to and get it still done. But we don't want to be the only ones, the only face. We want to have that, just like we showed up for George Floyd and all those other
Mhm.
high profile. My expectation is to show up for us in the same way. That's the only way we're going to bring about change, is
Mhm.
having the community involved. When we advocate, I always say we advocate for justice and educate for awareness. That's advocate and educate. That's the foundation of what we do. Spreading the awareness and making people know that traffic violence is a real thing, and it's happening across the United States. It's not just in Atlanta, it's all over.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
last thing for real quick. I
Oh, go
just went
ahead.
to an event today and I emailed, and I don't know if I emailed too late, so I didn't get to set up a table about pedestrian violence. And that was okay. So I said I'm gonna still go. And
Mhm.
I went, and there was not a nick of thing about pedestrian or traffic violence.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, so I even the state person had something about the bike. And I said, I hope when I come next year, you'll have something about pedestrian fatalities. But this is how people are just it's not connecting. You're on social media talking about e-bikes and all this, but you don't have nothing at this community event with everybody there. I mean, PRT, there were so many people there. Not one person had anything about pedestrian fatality.
Mhm.
And the
Mhm.
one person that emailed you to give it to you, you ignored it.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
do they want to save lives?
Mhm.
And
Oh,
so
yeah.
I was going to say, there's some events that center around pedestrian safety. April is Distracted Drivers Awareness Month. We're coming up in October. October is pedestrian safety and awareness. So there's things the community can do to participate and get involved. I wasn't aware of these until it impacted my life. But now that I'm sharing it with people. So what I'm saying is there's opportunities for people to get involved.
And we'll put the links in the chat so they can reach out to
Mm-hmm.
the Glover Walk This Way Foundation and Q's Cares. How
Mm-hmm.
much is the award, Miss Val?
It's $10,000.
So there is a $10,000 award,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm talking right now to the people in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
specifically. There's a $10,000 award for a hit and run for who murdered Brittany Glover. So if
Mm-hmm.
you've seen someone, if you know something,
Mm-hmm.
reach out to the family. Let them know what is happening. Think if it was your family, if it was your loved one, you would want some answers. There's a $10,000 reward. So I'm talking now to the people in Atlanta. One of the blackest places in America is what they tell us.
Yes.
This
Yes.
was a
The
young
black lady.
black woman
Mm-hmm.
who was murdered for simply crossing the street.
Mm-hmm.
So find it in your hearts. We have all been down there. We have canvassed the community. I
Mm-hmm.
felt like somebody knew something.
Mm-hmm.
I felt it in my spirit that
Mm-hmm.
somebody knew something. So
Mm-hmm.
if you know something, reach out to this family.
Mm-hmm.
And then Courtney, you have a walk coming up, correct?
Yes. So, and this is a special walk, okay? This is
Mhm,
September 19th from 11 to 2 at the Boston Trails, like Green Knock. It's Quenisha's birthday is September 20th, so we'll be celebrating Quenisha, but we also will be honoring Brittany. Because September 19th is the day Brittany lost her life. So, we're coming together. Here we go.
mhm,
We're coming together to be able to bring that awareness and shine on our beautiful daughters' legacies and other people's. This is a platform for other people to shine on their loved ones as well and to bring awareness, no matter if it's pedestrian violence or traffic violence. We all need the awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and also, I wanted to say October 1st to 8th is Week Without Driving.
mm,
Mm-hmm.
And we would ask people to pledge. You don't. It's not all that you don't drive that whole week. You could carpool. It's just to help to keep the limited number of cars on that road that week. So this is something that I never knew about. I never knew about. I never knew about it. I seen it last year. I'd never
mhm,
had time to go into it, but I did this year. So, and I'm gonna share with Val. So we in our community can know about these things
Mm-hmm.
mhm,
because we don't know. I
mhm,
never heard about traffic. It's not reported in our community
mhm.
the way it
Nope.
should be reported. You'll hear it on the news one time and then go on about your business. I ain't heard about Michael Wade since he got killed 2 weeks ago. So you don't hear those follow ups. So it's not a bing, bing, bing and get hit. So
Right.
we really have to knock on doors and canvas and educate our youth because when we leave, who's going to let them know?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I want to thank the both of you
Hmm.
for coming on and sharing your stories. I know that this just re-traumatizes you all. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for
Thank you.
sharing your story. And if you're watching this and you know something, say something and make sure you support Q's Cares and the Glover Walk This Way Foundation. And I thank you all so much.
Thank you,
Okay,
Fawn.
thank you. Yeah, God bless you. Thank you.
God bless you. Val, I'll call you.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much to Courtney and Val for that amazing conversation. So now we're going to switch gears a bit to have Joshua Malloy come on from Pittsburgh United to talk about an important campaign. All right. Hello.
Hey, Fawn, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing pretty good.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your patience. We
Oh, I,
appreciate that.
I always got patience for you
Oh, thank you.
um, in the work that Tag does. I think it's incredible.
Thank you so much. We wanted you to come on and talk about Paid Leave Act and what's going on so we can get the word out to people. Because I think a lot of people know, but a lot of people don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We're in
I
like
think there.
information overload time. So you go take it over. Tell us a little bit about what's going on and what the Paid Leave Act is about. Paid Family Leave Act.
Yeah, thank you. So, paid parental leave is a policy that's working its way through the county right now. It would provide 18 weeks of paid parental leave
Mm-hmm.
to anyone to workers in Allegheny County.
Mm-hmm.
If you've experienced childbirth or giving or in a relationship with someone who has experienced childbirth, you know it is an exhausting process for the birth giver and for the whole family overall. So we believe, fighting for that paid time off is important to Allegheny County and to the United States as a whole, basically. So yeah, we've been working on that. It was introduced on May 13th. The work really got kicked off on June 2nd when we had an opportunity to organize over about 100 public comments, public commenters. A couple of people that I organized came out and freaking killed it. Had the whole room in tears. And then we had a public comment portal open through the Board of Health that was open all the way up until July 16th. They actually extended it, I believe, 30 days, just so that we can get as many people involved in the process of shaping the policy as we could. So yeah, a lot of success so far, but still a whole lot of work, a whole lot of work to do.
And it's at the point now where it's in committee, correct? And they're kind of reviewing it, and it hasn't been presented for a vote yet, correct?
That is correct. It has not been presented for a vote yet. We believe the timeline for the vote is in early October. So right now, the Board of Health is ingesting all of those public comments, considering those and using those to shape what the final policy is going to look like. And then it will go to the Public Health Committee at County Council. And from there, it will be voted. If and when it's voted out of the Health Committee, it will be voted on the County Council as a whole. And we're looking at that being in early to mid-October. So if you're pregnant right now and your due date's after October, you might be getting paid parental leave.
Yeah. And this is to us so important. I do want to clarify something for our audience, because our audience is the Mon Valley area of Allegheny County. And then we also have people who watch us in other states. So Allegheny County, a city of Pittsburgh, is one city within this huge county. This is a huge county with over 100 municipalities, over 100 police departments, over like 50 school districts. So it's a huge county. This particular piece of legislation affects the entire county. It's something that the health department is going to introduce. And sometimes with the county, when things are introduced and passed, it doesn't affect, certain areas. This is not one of those situations. This is a situation that this passes, this affects the entire county. And it's for people who identify as, the mother and the father, the man and the woman. So it's not just for the mother, it is for both. It is vitally important for people to have this time to connect with their children. There's a lot of intersections with this as well, because this particular county is one of the worst for Black maternal health.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that again to people. This county is one of the worst in the world for Black maternal health. We've heard a lot about this, and this connects to this because it gives Black mothers more time to stay home and connect with their children. And they don't have the pressure having to rush to get back to work because they don't have enough time. I know people who just quit their jobs. They know that they're not going to have enough time, to be able to stay home and watch their children. So this affects so many issues. It's vitally important. And I don't think people are connecting. Oh, I'm not pregnant. It doesn't connect with me. It absolutely does connect with you. Connects with all of us.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And this is why this set of work is so important to me. And as you mentioned, Allegheny County has a Black maternal health crisis. It has we are. You said it. You hit it right on the. You hit the nail right on the head. Allegheny County is one of the deadliest places in America for Black women to give birth. One of the many race and class-based health disparities that negatively impact Black families, and that's why it's important to me. Like if you, even before I started this set of work, I've heard horror stories from my mom, from my cousins,
Mm-hmm.
from aunts who did give birth and did experience complications throughout the whole process.
Mm-hmm.
But then, even after the difficulties of their pregnancies, they were expected to go back to work um, uh, soon after giving birth to their children.
Yep.
Um, I have through this process, I've talked to many families about their experience in childbirth, and I people have found it. I've heard several stories like this. People have found it easier to give birth during COVID, during a pandemic, whenever giving birth and like the post pregnancy process was easier during a pandemic
Mm-hmm.
when you had the government giving you a ton of resources
Yeah.
from $600 a week in unemployment. I've heard to just making the process of getting in touch with your doctor from home, not actually having to go all the way to the hospital, but setting up this telehealth process and all these things just made the whole process a lot easier. And then they
Mm-hmm.
came back around in 2026 and are pregnant again. And uh, yeah, it's just awful. A woman um, gave birth this past May to her baby, a couple months old, and worked all the way up until her due date.
Mm-hmm.
Then, whenever she was deciding whether or not she was going to come back to work, like her boss told her, "Look, you shouldn't come back to work." He didn't fire her, but he heavily implied that she should not return to work after giving birth to her child. Now she's unemployed. Um, when you think about like the economic impact of like
Mm-hmm.
this set of work, you don't just have to look at the cost of giving birth. You have to look at the cost of returning to work after
Mm-hmm.
giving birth, um, or people who don't return to work after giving birth.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I don't want to say you're starting, this child's life in poverty, because a lot of people who don't work don't end up in poverty. But I know for a lot of Black people, a lot of Black moms and fathers,
Mm-hmm.
you lose any amount of work and it sets you back for years. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so this isn't just about, um, giving people a nice check after having a baby. This isn't about, if you can't afford to have a kid, then you shouldn't have a kid. This is about making Allegheny County accessible economically and in a bunch of other ways for all types of families. Um, so yeah, especially Black families, especially
Yeah.
Black moms.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the work is so important. I know I have a personal story where my daughter is 22 now, but when she was born, she was in the ICU, and I lost my job because I
Mhm.
had to keep leaving work to take care of her. She was
Yeah.
sick all the time, and they fired me.
Hmm.
They didn't. I
Yeah.
didn't. They didn't. I didn't have no such thing as this long time off. I had to go back to work, and she was sick, and they didn't.
Hmm.
They didn't care. They were like, "Well, we need you here." I'm like, "Well, she needs me." So I lost my job. I was out of work at that point because I had to stay home and take care of her. Had this been around,
Hmm.
then maybe I would have been able to stay home and take care of her more. And from that, she developed RSV, was turning to asthma. So we had to do all kind of things to make the house safe. And had I had more time, it may have prevented some even long-term health effects that she deals with till this day. So I think all of us have those stories, if not affect us, for somebody we love.
Hmm.
Where they knew that I just can't. I'm not gonna be able to take the time off. But not to mention what it does to your body. Like when you give birth, that does something to your body in general. Let's start,
Hmm.
and then you don't have the adequate enough time to rest, and then to be able to go, jump right back into it. So this gives people the amount of time to do that. And then with fathers, to give fathers the opportunity to bond with their
Yeah.
families.
Yeah. I think there is this narrative, especially about Black fathers, that we are not present in our child's lives. Now, I could give you the anecdotal experience and let you know that every Black father that I know, regardless of if they're married married to the child of their mother, or the mother of their child, or not, that father is present in that child's life. And that's a narrative that through this work, I'm hoping to address and I'm hoping to change. But more than that, there's the statistics to back it up. Black fathers are more tapped in than any other race of fathers. There's a study, I think NPR did it in maybe like 2015, that proved that we are very much engaged in our child's lives, whether that's doing homework with them, whether that's bathing them, whether that's dropping them off at school. Black fathers are a present and constant figure statistically in our lives. And I think it's important that we use this set of work to change that narrative, and all sets of work to change that narrative. I think overall, sometimes Black families don't fit into like the nuclear model that we've grown up with. But that doesn't mean they're not families.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's important to address that, and address that narrative. But also, Black dads love their children. Black dads want to provide that skin-to-skin contact, and they should be paid to provide that for their child, and show up to support the mother of that child.
Right, right. And not have to worry about, are they going to have a job? They just want to stay home and connect with their baby.
Yeah. I was in an Uber going to, we put out a mailer. So I was going to photograph a carpenter. He's in a carpenters union. He makes cabinets. But on the way out to photograph him, I had a conversation with my Uber driver, and she was telling me she had, I believe, 2 sons. One worked for the steel workers. One was working in a steel mill, and I believe her other son worked in the coal mine. So I was surprised. I didn't think coal mines were still out here. I thought you had to be down in the mountains of West Virginia to be working in a coal mine. But they're still very prevalent in Pennsylvania. But her son worked all the way up until the birth of his child. But his child was born a couple of weeks early. And because the baby was born a couple of weeks early, he wasn't able to give, this 10-day notice, and basically only got a day off to go spend with his brand new baby because he took that day off. He ate that. And then he immediately went back to work afterwards. And that messed him up. I was talking to his mother, who's my Uber driver, and he said, the frustrations that he has a lot of frustrations with his work, but the amount of time that it takes him away from his family, and missing out on that bonding in the first couple of weeks of his child's life. He said he's never going to get that back. He found it deeply regretful. So, you talk to these fathers, especially these new fathers, and, it's something that they are demanding, something that they are willing to fight for, and show up for. And yeah, I think it's important that we highlight that, and help change this narrative that, hey, this is paid leave is just for the moms. Right. Paid leave is just for the birth givers. No, this is for both parents, and this is for grandparents too. Yeah. Like your child, gives birth to your grandchild, and of course, as a grandparent, you should want to show up and you should be there to the best of your capacity. Um, but yeah, it's really your parents,
Mhm.
your children's responsibility to take care of that child, and they could weigh on their grandparent. But yeah, this is like something that having this 18 weeks off is something that we all need and we should all be fighting for.
Yes, we should all be fighting for it. And I want to end with a call to action.
Yeah.
So we're talking about paid parental family leave, you all,
Mhm.
in Allegheny County. We need y'all to get on the phones, get on your emails, email your county council representative, and
Mhm.
tell them to support this vital piece of legislation. We need everybody. This is an all hands on deck situation. And we called for this when we were working on the police review board. So we're calling for it again. We need all
Yes.
hands on deck. We need people on the phones. We need people sending emails, showing up at the county council meetings. So how can people get involved, Joe?
Yeah. There's a lot of ways to get involved. We have a couple of strategies. The first is, like Fawn said, email your county council member, email your call county council, and I'll send over Fawn the email and the phone number to reach out to county council. But also, you come down to county council meetings. They are this month. There's one on the 18th, which is tomorrow, and then one on August 25th. And come and tell county council why this is important to you. Tell the story of how this would have benefited you whenever you had children, or tell the story of how this would be transformational for you whenever you do decide to have kids. And then there's going to be 2 additional county council meetings, September 9th and the 22nd. The one on the 22nd would be the final county council meeting before we head into October, where they'll likely vote on it. So it's important. As popular as this is, I don't think I mentioned there's 1,400 public comments. It's a very popular policy. As popular as it is, that doesn't mean that your county council members don't need to be organized into this fight. So we'll talk to them until it's time for them to vote. So come on down with us, kick it with us, county council. Also, we are having an event on September 1st that's specifically for Black families to come together and get an understanding of why this policy is important, why it's important to build organized power in our communities. And we'll be having that September 1st at the Grayson Center in the Hill District. And yeah, I hope to see you there. Hope to see you come prepared to build power in our communities and win paid parental leave.
Absolutely. And we'll put Josh's email in the comments too. If people want to reach out and get involved directly and join the campaign, we would love that. We need all hands on deck. We need people talking about this situation. Sarah Amarada, who is our county executive, is pregnant. And she kind of helped Pittsburgh United launch the campaign. So this is a lot of people involved in this because it affects everyone.
It does.
It really does. It affects all of us. So we need you all to be aware of what's going on, and we need you all to get involved. So we'll put all of the links and all of the information in the chat. Is there anything else you want people to know, Joe?
We all have great ideas. It takes organizing to bring those ideas into reality. So you don't get it organized with PA United. You don't got to organize with APA. You don't got to organize with Take Action. But you do got to organize. Go out into your community. Find someone whose self-interest aligns with yours. And then go find like 10 more people. And that's how we build something powerful. So organize. We have the ability to change the world, but only if we are in community with each other while doing it.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for coming on, Josh, and
Of course.
letting people know about the campaign. I usually end with the section I call talking shit. So you don't have to stay for that.
All right, I'm going to go home, make some dinner.
Okay,
But I, yeah, look forward to seeing everyone come kick it with us. All right,
cool. All right. Thank you.
see ya.
All right. Thank you so much to Josh and to our justice impacted families for coming on today. So I just want to end by updating you all on our advocacy campaign for McKeesport Police, and then talking about some current events. So we did have a meeting with the mayor of McKeesport, the business manager, and then Councilwoman Amber Webb about 2 months ago now. I believe I talked about it briefly on the last podcast episode, but the meeting went okay. It was really just us reiterating our demands, and us questioning demands we already had met. So the demands we did get met were social workers responding with police. They do have the A team that is responding with McKeesport Police on a tiered level. Y'all have heard us talk about this in the past. So that is happening in real time. You can request them. They're called the A team if you call McKeesport Police, but there is a tiered level of them, but they are very much so active with the McKeesport Police. So that is the demand that we got met. Social workers responding with police. We talked about our demand with terminating the officers. And from their standpoint, they did their own investigation. And so I'm using air quotes with that. And they have deemed that there was nothing wrong with the arrest of Mr. Stinson. To update people, that was a 70-year-old black man who was had his ribs cracked, and he has a trach in his neck, and it was further pushed in his neck after the police assaulted him upon his arrest. So they claimed that there was no wrongdoing there. So they didn't terminate anyone. One officer just left on their own. So they didn't tell us the name because they said there was personnel laws. But that's the update on those two demands. During the meeting, we talked a lot about the demand we have with defunding, so divest and invest. We want them to specifically defund their police budget. That's always your biggest budget in any community is your police budget. We want them to fund that by 10%, and give that money back to Black communities. They can pick a local Black organization addressing street violence. It should be set up in a grant. We told them this, that is separate from the city. So they were interested in looking at putting those funds into more preventative work. We talk a lot about the police review board. They're not at the point where that is something that they feel like we need. We do. We understand that the police review board is really just the first step. To us, we see it as a way toward abolition. We recognize that it is reform, but we recognize it is something that the community needs. We need to be able to keep these officers in check, and the police holding the police accountable and doing their own investigations. That's ludicrous. If you get in trouble on your job, like you're not investigating yourself. That's what's happening now. So we need a police review board with power and community control. So we'll be pushing a police review board with community control, subpoena power, and that is controlled by the community. So if you want to get involved with that, we'll put the link in the chat. We have a sign-on letter. We also have a coalition we are developing now to address police violence in the Mon Valley, as well as to address the cop city that is being built in the city of Pittsburgh and in Lincoln Limited, a Black community. So these things are ongoing things we've been working on for a few years now. So I'll make sure we put this in the chat. One thing that they did say to us at the meeting was, okay, when is this going to stop? We've met some of your demands. We're like, no, it'll stop when you stop beating the hell out of Black people and stop killing us. That's when it'll stop. I couldn't have even said that, but that's what they said. Like, when is it going to stop? When is it going to be enough? Like, when you stop beating the hell out of us and when we can walk down the street without being afraid of the damn police, that's when it'll stop. And when we get our damn demands met, that's when it will stop. We are asking for a community controlled police review board in the city of McKeesport. Allegheny County has one that TAG was involved with making sure that was passed. They can opt into that or they can start their own. Either one, but that is one of our demands, as well as defunding the police budget and putting that money back into the Black residents of McKeesport. And we say Black residents because that is who has had the most traumatic history with police since the beginning of policing when it started with slave patrols. So we're not going to ignore the fact and just chase around that. We're going to address it as a Black liberation organization. So those are our two demands that we're pushing through. We did meet with them. I mean, I guess it went okay, but we're not changing, we're not shifting or moving, from our specific position. I would say it went better than it would have ever went with the former administration. That felt like they did listen, but that doesn't mean anything. And we said this to them at the meeting. Just because you're listening to us and having us here don't mean we're going to stop any other shit we're doing, because we will not be stopping. We still have a very active boycott in place. We're asking people to not support the events the city is doing, because what that's doing is they're using that to make it look like they actually give a damn, and that they actually care, and that they're actually responding to the needs of the community. Having an event, you all, is not responding to the needs of the community. I'm going to say that twice. Having an event is not responding to the needs of the community. Having an event is not responding to the needs of the community. You can keep all the events in the world. If, as a Black person, I could walk down the street without being worried the police is going to beat the hell out of me, that is not changing anything. We need effective and continued programming in the city of McKeesport to address the needs of Black communities. If you look at how many Black people work for the city, how many contracts they have with Black businesses, those are the things that we need. We need police officers held accountable when they are harassing Black residents, when they are breaking the law themselves. And we have a long track record of that in the city of McKeesport. That's when change happens. Not when we have a pretty and a nice event. That's cute for that one day. But what about all the other days? What comes after that? That is the kind of change we're looking for. We're looking for that systemic change, that long lasting and sustainable change, not one day and not an event. So that's why we still have the boycott in place, because International Village is coming up. We will not be attending that. That's not something we will be supporting, because we still have demands that have not been met. We get a police review board and we get this police budget defunded, then we will drop the boycott, and no sooner than that. As far as current events, did want to talk about the recent killings of Black people. And I'm gonna say this: Black people don't hang themselves on trees. There is a crisis going on where Black people are being found hung by trees. It's been going on the last few years. It's just happening more rampant now, and we're hearing about it more. So what we're going to do now is call those names out of those people. And these are just the names that we're calling out now. There are more. Also want to start by mentioning Crystal Russ. A few months ago, we highlighted the fact that a lot of Black women have been killed by partner violence. And Crystal Russ was killed here in the greater Pittsburgh area of Penn Hills. So I'm just going to read something that Crystal's family said about her. She was killed in partner violence here in July. So Crystal Russ was a 44-year-old mother of four who was kind and loving woman whose life revolved around her children and her family. Crystal Russ was killed here in Penn Hills by her partner. So we wanted to make sure we said her name and make sure that Crystal's name is Crystal Russ's name is kept alive, along with all the other names of Black women who were killed by not gender, but partner violence. I also want to read the names of some of the Black people, because these aren't all the names. This is the names that I know that were hung by trees. Taser Fortune was found hanging from a tree in the backyard of a bed and home in Jackson, Mississippi. So that's Tasia Fortune. And my apology if I'm mispronouncing any names. After I say the names, I'm going to say Ashe, so we can give respect to them as not their ancestors. So Crystal Russ, Ashe. Tasia Fortune, Ashe. Denoris Richardson, Ashe. 39 years old, was found hung by a tree in Colbert County, Alabama. Javon McGee, Ashe, 21 years old, was found hung by a tree in Vance County, North Carolina. Earl Smith, 58, was found hung by a tree in Albany, New York. Devontae Trey Reed, 21, found hung by a tree in Cleveland, Mississippi. Torrance Torrey Medley, 39, found hung by a tree in Brookfield, Wisconsin. Ashe. Kylie Blessing, Ashe, 21, found hung by a tree in Marietta, Georgia. Juliana Nitza, 16, was hung by a tree in Charlotte, North Carolina. Ashe. Jarrett J. Jackson. Ashe. Hung by a tree in Rothburg, Michigan. That's a lot of names, you all. And these are just the names that I know right now. There are more names. Black people do not hang themselves from trees. Somebody is out here hanging us from trees. So it is our duty to fight for our freedom, and it is our duty to win. This is a time we need to be fighting and we need to be resisting this shit. So hold your loved ones close. And like Josh was saying, make sure that you organize, organize, organize. I'm going to read those names again and I'm going to say Ashe. And then we're going to close out. Crystal Russ, Ashe. Tasia Fortune, Ashe. Denoris Richardson, Ashe. Javon McGee, Ashe. Earl Smith, Ashe. Devorte Trey Reed, Ashe. Torrance Tori Medley, Ashe. Kyle Bassinger, Ashe. Where'd it go? Juliana Nita, Ashe. And Jarrett J. Jackson, Ashe. So please pay attention to these names. If you have more names, please put them in the chat. We want to make sure that we're keeping our names alive. We want to make sure that we are fighting and that we are resisting. Thank you all for joining us on the Voices of Liberation podcast. This will be live on our YouTube page, as well as our Facebook page. So please share. I'll share.